Grady Powell, host of Forged in Fire.
Kyle Mann.
I'm Jay Warner Wallace.
Kira Davis.
It's Ben Up.
Hey, this is Dave Baker.
Carrie Pomeroli.
This is Mike Reiner.
This is Ethan Nicole.
This is Leanne Morgan.
It's Graham Parker, the 5GP, and this is why you should never.
How I got suckered in.
I'm so embarrassed that I'm here.
You're wasting your time. You got better things to do.
Never listen.
Those darling, yummy Reverend and the Reprobate.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Reverend and the Reprobate. I am Lucas Pinkert, an actual pastor,
And
here
I'm
with my
Dan Gibson.
my good friend Dan, the Reprobate. What's up?
Not a lot, man. How you doing?
You know what? I'm doing okay.
How do you answer that question? You go, "What's up?" And I'm never ready for it.
Yeah, so it's like a man we mentioned in this episode, Ismo the comic, says the proper answer for what's up is
This guy.
what's up.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think
What's
I'm
up?
not
What's
answering
up?
the question, but they are happy.
Well, today
Yeah,
we've got
what's
on
up?
our sweet, clean airwaves.
Yeah, come on with it.
We got some tea time crimes. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about tea and sniff out some crime.
Yeah, so we have Meagan and Alana, the
Alana and
hosts
Meagan.
of the Tea Time Crimes podcast, where they sample various teas and talk about female killer and or serial killer every week. It is one of the most fascinating, entertaining podcasts we've listened to in a long time. So we talked to them about the podcast. We make Alana try a coffee, which she hates. She hates coffee. You'll get to find out whether or not she hates this particular coffee, because it tastes like
I get it. I get you're going with that.
raspberries and is quite juicy. We talk a little bit about foraging mushrooms. Let's see what the new favorite word of Megan's 5-year-old is, and how they pick their serial killers. Now, quick thing, if you are listening to this show with kids, our show is safe and fun. I would not listen to Meagan and Alana's show with children because they do get a little graphic into what the crimes are. However, if you are an adult, it's absolutely hysterical and a wonderful representation of what a true crime podcast can be if done well and right. Final thoughts, Dan?
Mine would be Iron Maiden. I'm interested in that.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hey,
we're ready.
Checking my angles.
Expo Whip on today's
Yes, Whip.
Whip. That's it. On today's episode, we are joined by the lovely Meagan and Alana from Tea Time Crimes, who are just these brilliant podcasters that I found out about through our secretary, Good Heather.
Oh, that's a loaded
So
statement.
she tells me one day, she's like, "Hey, I stumbled upon this podcast that you have to listen to." And as I start listening to the wonderment that is Meagan and Alana and Tea Time Crimes, I have absolutely fallen in love with what they do. So we had to have them on the show. And without any further ado, that's the word we're looking for.
Adieu.
Yeah, we pronounce our French words as well as they do, so I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah.
So without any further
Avoid
ado,
French.
it's the lovely, the talented, the very awesome Meagan and Alana. What's up, ladies? How are y'all?
Hello. We're
Thank you
doing
for having
pretty
us on.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for joining.
So
We wondered how you found us.
Yeah, we were going back and forth, and we're like, "How did they find us?"
okay, so
That mystery unraveled.
Yeah.
I've gotten the full story about this now.
We both go down some rabbit holes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
So
Anything that it's interesting. You guys are definitely interesting.
yeah,
that's
And
one word for it. Sure.
we've done some true crime stuff before. And as we did some investigations for when because we had a guy on the show who was the largest bank robber in U.S. history.
Yeah.
And then we had on the mom of the guy that started the dark web, and we told his entire story. So we've
Hashtag
dabbled in some
free Ross.
free Ross. We've dabbled in some true crime stuff before, but as I was up at the office on a Tuesday afternoon, my good friend Heather Swan.
Well, hold on. There's a
came
lot
up.
of work that goes into true crime, and you and I have done a lot of work. And it's nice to kick back every now
Are you
Like-
saying you
no, no, no.
perform true crime? I just want to make sure.
Yes, he
Yes,
is a true criminal.
Yes, but But
Like Megan, I have done a lot of work, and like Alana, you get to respond to the
Perfect.
story that I tell in
yeah,
those episodes.
and I've been here the whole time.
He was present for every one of them. So Heather was looking up a serial killer. Like she kind of went down this trail, and when she was trying to find some info on it, she stumbles across one of your episodes, and then she started listening to several of them. She was like, "You have to listen to Tea Time Crimes. You would love the energy." And I'm a coffee snob, so it really
She's
fits.
a tea snob.
Yeah. So when she was talking about, the mouth feel and all of that kind of stuff, and things being that something lingers or is sticky on the tongue, I was like, I know exactly what that means. And
It's a real thing.
It is, yeah. And Danley reacts often the way that Megan does. Is he's like, what do you mean?
Like a syrup?
Rolls his eyes.
Yeah, like so the coffee has body. Great. Does it have caffeine? Yeah. So that's what it boils down to. So we have sent, I want to start with this. We sent Alana coffee because we know y'all hate coffee.
Yes.
And I found a coffee with a lot of tea notes.
Yes.
And
We'll see.
we sent it to her with very specific brewing instructions.
It was
What
very
kind of
specific.
coffee
I was
was it?
very nervous.
What kind of beans was it?
These are, well, she's
kind
got
of
all the,
beans is
she's
it?
got all
I have
the
it all written
information.
down.
She'll tell us.
I'll allow her to share.
Are they
Go
from
ahead.
Brolin?
All right, you ready?
Yeah,
All right. So I don't know if this is the name of it, but I think it is Vergachet
That,
Tutis.
yeah, that's the name
Okay.
of it.
Nailed it.
And you wanted to know where it came from? Ethiopia.
Excuse me, could you give me facts about the country?
No.
You're on it.
Okay. Prosecco?
Yeah.
Prosecco.
Notes of Prosecco?
And yeast washed.
Yeah, it's a yeast washed bean. Yep.
Sounds delicious. At an elevation of 2100
We don't do elevation.
mass 1. No idea what that means.
Yeah, that's where the
Elevation is
bean. That's where the bean is found.
Not approved.
Okay. Okay, got it. And the notes, this is fun. Raspberry, jasmine, bergamot, and floral.
What's
You
bergamot?
hate berry notes.
Yeah, but I do love a jasmine.
and she
if
does like
floral's
bergamot.
right, go through. Bergamot, yeah.
I have heard
it's-
on a previous
Yeah, go
episode that you like jasmine. I have no idea what bergamot is, though. What is that?
It's like breakfast tea taste. It's like the taste
Okay,
of,
so it's
of
a
normal
it's
black
a breakfast blend. From
Yeah, it's like
Denny's.
a black tea that she loves.
tea. Yep.
I do.
Okay.
It's a very like a valiant attempt, but she hates coffee.
Oh, I
can't.
know.
Hate it. Hate
Our,
it.
our goal with this is to preface it with, "Hey, this is a coffee you might like," and then watch her hate it. That's what we really want to have happen.
That's fine.
Perfect.
We felt like that would be most entertaining for the other three of us, including Megan.
It would be least boring. It'd be the least boring for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, exactly. That's fair. And it was roasted by Edison Coffee Co. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
If
Thanks,
I don't
Edison.
like it, it's not your fault, Edison. Okay. Okay, so I have it here in this lovely cup that you sent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're finally on video. It's working.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
yeah, you're not my just listeners anymore. You're
There you
viewers.
go.
Real.
Yes.
Okay, that's exciting. You're
Yes.
real. So I have it here as black, and then I also brought whipping cream because that's what my dad puts in his coffee.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Wow.
Some heavy
we're gonna
cream,
try it
keto.
with both.
No doubt.
Keto approved.
I don't think anyone calls it whipping cream on
That's
their
what it
in their
says
like
on
heavy
the finger.
cream.
Yeah,
in
no,
the
no, no.
thing.
It's a heavy cream. She went with like a spoonful of that is my daily caloric intake right now. That is
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's like 300 calories per spoonful
Yeah, but you
of
need
whipping
like
cream.
3,000 calories.
As much as we're running back and forth to the NICU, I'm getting like nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Okay,
here we
let's
go.
do a little sniff.
So this is the
Yeah.
first time you tried it, correct?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
she's got very strict rules.
I do. So I know nothing about coffee, so
Sure.
I'm not going to be able to pick up notes, but I'm going to try.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
you will.
ready?
You've got a very
Is everybody
attuned
ready?
palate. Yeah.
I smell coffee.
Ooh, it
Nailed
smells
it.
like coffee. Wow, that's really good.
There's something else in there. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know what coffee smells like, okay, but there's something else. So we're gonna try it. All
That
right.
cup may not have been
Okay.
washed real well. That could be the other thing. Or it could be like
know.
Dawn.
It adds character.
Yeah. It smells like coffee
Okay.
and Dawn.
It's a big sip.
There's notes of
Oh.
gardenia.
Oh, that is bitter.
Yeah, there's no sweetener, right? You didn't
Wow.
add a sweetener, just cream.
Nope. Yep. I didn't.
No,
I
it's
didn't
black.
think that you didn't
Yeah.
need sweetener in coffee. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do. Okay, so what are you getting other than bitter?
That's all I'm getting for taste. I'm gonna try it
Sweet.
again, but
Yeah, yeah.
for body, no body.
Nobody.
Absolutely no body. It just slips right down. See ya. You say you see it for a second and then it's gone.
Oh, you see it now.
Yeah, you can actually see this coffee as
I
it goes
can't.
down.
I wait one more sip.
Yeah.
This coffee is like Slenderman.
It's gonna haunt her for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay. I trapped it in my mouth for a little longer because I wasn't as
Fun.
surprised by the bitterness.
Right.
Bitter again,
Still, yeah.
but a little roasty toasty. So I get that. I have no sense of the raspberry jasmine or any floral note at all.
So,
I tend to agree that coffee is very strong. So any of the subtlety, I have a hard time picking up on as well.
so do you have any kosher salt?
Yes,
You could take a small pinch of kosher salt and it'll take the bitterness out of it.
it'll completely wipe out the bitterness.
Yeah,
with
if
just salt.
you do too much, then it'll like oversalt it.
Yeah.
But if a small pinch will actually pull the bitterness out of fresh brewed coffee.
That's okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'll embrace it.
That's
I'm drinking
pretty-
coffee.
Yeah, embrace the bitterness. Congratulations.
Hey,
And-
that's a nice
Yeah.
coffee tip from
So-
the Pat Reverend.
Yeah, it is a really
Reverend.
good tip.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
yeah, so
Are you gonna add your whipping cream to it?
I have it in this little salsa
look at
jar.
there we go.
Look at you.
My
And
goodness.
I have my
Did you
teaspoon
forage that jar?
from Hawaii?
Oh.
I poured it in.
She's so excited she can show things. This is what she does all the time on our podcast.
Only
With no
Megan sees me, then
camera.
she makes fun of me. Okay, I did not bring a long enough spoon, but that's
Right.
okay. We're gonna make it work. All right. So you just say pour a little bit at first, right?
I mean, however much you want. If you think it's bitter, just dump it all in there.
Go for a color.
Right.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
a
toss-
great
toss a
point.
You want a
Thank
nice
you.
flat white. That's
to-
what they call it at Starbucks.
And just grab a big old handful of stevia and toss it in.
Yeah, you really should have brought some sugar.
It's okay. I always like to do a little clank. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
the viewers love that.
I
on
do
our show.
respect the
Yeah, the viewers
tri-
on your show do love that, Alana. You're correct.
Yeah, I'm the only viewer of your show. The only
Okay.
one ever.
It's a nice, like a light toast. If we're coming up from the toaster, it's like a nice light brown.
So,
Got
so
it.
it's a little
Perfect.
different from roasty toasty.
Yeah. Well,
It
this
is.
is just the color now.
Yeah.
Yes. It smells a little nicer because, the cream will even it out, I imagine. Right.
We'll find out together.
Made it worse, didn't
It
it?
did.
No, it didn't. Oh, it burns more. Why? It tasted a little bit better, like it's not as extreme,
Mhm.
but going down, it was like, how dare you sully me, and then attacked my throat.
Oh,
Wow.
So, yeah.
It's a very
that's what
vengeful
happened.
coffee.
It is.
it's a
From
righteous
Ethiopia.
coffee,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, it's roasted by single women in their 40s, so no wonder it's a little bitter and quite vengeful. So
Got him.
thanks, Edison.
Speaking of single women are often targeted by serial killers.
They are indeed,
Yeah.
if not perpetrators of crimes themselves, which leads us to our
Often.
guest, Tea Time Crimes. So I'm curious, ladies, how did y'all get started in this podcast? Like, what was the inspiration for it?
I dragged Alana into it,
Nice.
kicking and screaming. So I love true crime, been interested in it ever since I was like shockingly young, actually. And Alana hates it.
I hate it so much.
Hates it. And so
You
I
hate
very
it so much you're
delicately
a
said,
co-host
hold
on a
on.
show about it.
What about if we did this? And that has led to our kind of unique format in which I pick the story and I have it come from the female's point of view, which is usually straight up the killer, but not
Right.
always,
Sure.
which Alana seems to identify with. She's got a lot of rage and she can just grab onto that. And then I also will tell her to earmuff. So she doesn't even listen to her own podcast.
Yes.
And she mutes her headphones through some of the gory details. And then the best part of it is I told her, you just have to show up for that 1 hour and that's it. So I do all the research. She literally knows nothing ever. All reactions are 100% authentic. She cannot read a line no matter how hard she tries.
I'm not an actor.
No, it's fun to try, but it doesn't happen for her.
No.
So
Can I start
That's
doing
how we
even
were born.
less?
No.
And doing that where I can just mute myself and
If
just
you
go.
did even less, your wife or child would have to show up and take your seat. Like that is the only way.
No, I could still. You could just say, "Hey, you need to say something."
Just
and
wake-
and I'll
just
take,
wake you up?
Take the gun muffs off. I don't
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
that's called.
Yeah. So my
Earmuffs.
Kirsten will often we'll listen to the show. You'll get to a part where you're talking about some of the in-depth stuff, and she'll just be like, "Hey, let me know when Alana's back." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And so that's
see,
what
I told you it was a buddy system.
Yeah.
About like 20 episodes in, she said, "I just realized how will the people who earmuff know to come back?"
I
Oh,
got
yeah.
worried, but it was a little late.
Yeah.
Don't
I think
worry.
they have a buddy. Yeah.
That's exactly right. We just wait for the
Okay.
I'm back.
That's nice.
And then there we go. We're back in. Okay, so this was
It works.
completely like Megan's idea. She forced Alana into it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so where did you guys develop this friendship that you have where that's something that can happen? Because it's not often. Like, I'm just not running around to my coworkers and being like, "Oh, hey, we're gonna do this,"
You wanna
and
start
you're
a
gonna,
podcast?
yeah, you want to start a podcast together. Like, there's got to be a lot of trust there. How did you guys meet, and how
let
did your
me
friendship
let me
developed?
kick this off.
Okay.
So I brought in so she was at a job already.
Please say
And I-
laminated resume.
Oh, it's coming. And I came in for an interview and I handed her a laminated resume and
Oh, wow.
she fell in love.
It was,
And then the rest
friends
is
at first
history.
sight.
It's kind of like when you're in
Yeah.
the trenches together when things get crazy at work and like it just forces you to bond or hate each other. And
Right.
luckily it was the former.
Yeah,
Why-
we were
why-
work wives for a long time.
Yes.
Why would one laminate a resume?
I'm glad you asked. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing when I saw it. I've never seen it since. I've
Me
never
either.
seen it before then.
I've never even
and I
heard of
thought,
such a
this-
thing. Yeah,
This
It is a-
girl
I wanted a job.
whoever is on here is so important that she has to protect it against all costs. Like if I spill my tea, if I'm
You
caught
know
in a
all the
rainstorm.
elements in Los Angeles, all the rain that we get. No, it's just what I went for, and it worked.
I didn't even read it. I was like, this is all I need
Yeah.
to know.
Yep.
What else?
Who thinks
was
this far
charmed.
ahead?
What
Yeah.
else do you laminate?
My lamination days are over.
Oh, okay.
I don't have one anymore. But back in the day,
Post-lamination.
it was like those important documents, and the resume made the list.
I'm pretty sure I kept it. I think I have it somewhere at the house. Like I took it with me when I left the job. I was like, I
Wow.
don't need anything from my desk, but I'll take
And,
that.
a countrywide move, like all the way across the
Yeah,
coasts.
I
Wow,
get that.
That's dedication.
I've never heard
Friendship,
who
baby.
does that. Nobody does that.
I've never heard of. Well, I would guess that if you're hunting for jobs in between like foraging, it's like if you want to nibble on a mushroom and you want to
die.
make sure you didn't get anything on the resume, that would make sense. Which
My story is more resume lamentations.
you lamented over your resume. So
It's your own
we-
tears you're protecting.
Right.
So we had all of these questions that we had prepped about foraging, and last week we interviewed a comedian friend of ours, June Colson, and June is talking to us about the things that they used to do at the trailer park, and she was like, "Yeah, my dad and my family would all go shrooming." And we're like, "What?" She's like, "We would go mushroom hunting." Like, there's no way. And she goes, "Yeah, you know what you do? You just pick them up and you nibble
This is
on the
terrible-
corner."
Terrible advice.
Oh,
And
what did I say?
Validate
What did I
her.
say?
Terrible advice.
And
Yep.
if it makes you sick, then you don't eat any more of those.
Exactly.
And I'm just sitting there like in awe. Like this is not a real thing. She has a sister who she found through 23andMe. Guess what her sister does?
Nibbles on mushrooms.
Mushroom
Is she
hunt.
alive?
Her sister
So
who
weird.
she had never met before, who like was not around when she grew up. I don't know how all of that worked out, but yeah, that her sister that was adopted, and she finds out is also a mushroom hunter.
Wow.
like a
Maybe
whole-
it comes from our way back when in our DNA that we were the Gathers.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
But-
She doesn't put on her Luigi outfit
But
to do
doesn't
it.
that hold on? Doesn't it seem, if that's true,
She's missing out.
that we
Yes,
would
she is.
that largely women would gather, that
Yeah.
you would taste
doesn't have to be
everything, and
large
if you
women.
got sick, that seems like something we would do thousands of years ago,
Right.
or longer.
Yeah.
Now we should have better. We should have a better plan than
I
just
agree.
just try a berry, and if it
Yeah.
kills you, then we'll know it's bad.
That's why we have books. I just got in the mail.
No, that's why we have grocery stores.
No.
That's,
What is it
yes,
called?
it is. That's exactly why we have grocery stores.
Mushrooming.
Yeah,
That's
they
why-
already have the mushrooms available.
Mushrooming with confidence. I think that's the title.
Ooh.
It's right there on my futon.
Mushrooming
Can't
with
wait
confidence?
to crack it open. Yep.
It sounds like Simon Sinek wrote a book about foraging. Like, why would you
Yep.
need a mushroom with confidence?
So you don't die.
And why should you?
Yeah,
Don't
better
be
question.
insecure about this.
No,
Move on with your life.
Yeah, but it gives you checklists. So, we
that's
have
why.
progressed in our technology.
Right now, the mushrooming people have moved all the way up to checklists.
Yeah. Mushroom technology
Moving
has not advanced.
Forward.
I guess as I'm thinking about it, if you just put a modern spin on it,
Yeah.
if you find a mushroom and you just try a little taste to see, that's technically microdosing. It's just the modern name.
She
Right.
does this
Yeah.
with other things, not just mushrooms.
Like what?
Yeah, like
when you
what
thought
exactly?
all the ice cream in your freezer was bad and you nibbled on 3 bites and then you told me you made a terrible mistake.
Yep. Yep. It was
The ice
bad.
cream was
it was
bad.
It was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I didn't die because I didn't eat the whole pint.
right. So, how did you what were the outcomes of that nibble?
You don't want to know.
Okay.
As we call in the South, bubble gut.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Now that you
Yep.
are a Southerner, because you're from Louisiana now.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. Well, I've got a question unless you've
All
got
right.
another one.
No. Go for it.
Okay, so I am curious. This is probably multi-pointed question. So we'll start with the first one.
Boom. Point 1.
Why do women tend to commit murder with poison over other
Instead of
forms-
going for a
forms of
soft
murder?
spot on the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Megan,
I'm
you want
telling
to
you,
take this one?
we're legit fans of Tea Time Crimes. We know
Yeah,
this
I can
stuff.
tell. I'm impressed.
I just
am
want it to
too.
be coffee time crimes.
Right, that's fair. We have a spin-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great question. One I
Thank
wonder
you.
about.
Good job. Great question.
What they say is because it's a less violent way to kill, but I would argue it's terrible. It's such a slow way to die.
I think it has to do with strength. Like a lot of women are not going to be as strong as the people they're killing because it's often men. I mean, sometimes it's other women. And so this way, it's like more of the mind game to outsmart somebody instead of outstrength them.
Okay.
That's one take.
That definitely makes sense. Why do you think women kill men the most and not other women?
I think, why don't you ponder on that question yourself?
Yeah.
I know the answer. I don't know.
just-
I'm
they're just
curious.
pissing
It's
these
probably
women
a
off.
mixture of they deserve it. And,
Yes.
And
I
I
mean,
get
I
all
didn't
of the
say that.
inheritance.
Hey, Jolly Jane went nuts. She was
did.
She did.
killing everybody.
A step
Yeah.
too far. A step too far.
She did. But
Couple
she was
steps too far.
but she was a great nurse as long as you weren't an octogenarian.
Oh,
If you were 65 or younger, I would recommend her.
Yeah. Yeah. Highly recommend. Best
all the
nurse.
doctors did.
Yeah. Best nurse in the business as long as you don't have an AARP card. Jolly Jane.
Okay, so part 2 to this question.
Boom,
This
part
is
two.
a little different now, but
Let's
you
do
know,
it.
women tend to use poison, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, so not women serial killers. Why do women like serial killers so much? What is this fascination?
That is
with
a good
death
question.
and murder and
I
horrifying?
can't answer that one.
Oh,
Go for
Alana
it.
hates them.
Yeah. Go for it, Alana.
I like it because, and I only limit myself to female serial killers for Alana's sake.
Right.
I mean, I listen to my own stuff
Mm-hmm.
without her around. I like it because I find it fascinating to see what walks a person up to making these choices. And for serial killers, it's they're all over the place. But there are just regular everyday people sometimes who just seem to be totally living their lives. Everything's going fine, and then boom, they commit murder. And that's fascinating to me as to what happened, what circumstance were they in, what was going on with them, like in their minds, what was going on with their family history, what was happening that all of those pieces came together and they decided to do that.
You mean like Katie Cook and Amy Hill? These are two ladies
Yeah.
that were kind of pushed to the brink. That was the most recent episode when,
Yeah.
at the time of this recording. Yep.
How close do you think, Megan, you are to being a serial killer?
Oh, super far.
I mean, would a serial killer say the opposite?
I think
mean, we don't
Alana
know.
is closer, honestly. She's always the one that's way more violent.
I mean,
not-
I encourage it when it's warranted.
Yeah. She's always siding with the murderers. Always.
No.
Yes.
Not always. Not if they're bad.
What
You're
makes
like,
a
why'd she
murderer
do
bad?
that? She should have done this. It would have been faster.
No, like the Phantom Freeway guy, I would murder 7 times
Right.
myself.
Yeah, just a guy that's
Jeffrey
like
Dahmer.
dropping
Yes,
bodies off.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like that I hate. I hate those people.
But what
Right,
about
but your solution is to murder. So I think
Yes,
you
that's
just made
correct.
my point. Thank you.
Okay.
so what
Oh,
about like
Vigilante.
Leonarda? Do you think would you kill Leonarda or would you just like buy some of her soaps off of Etsy?
I wouldn't have any tea at her house, that's for sure.
This has stayed in my mind. Like I even thought about Etsy soap, and I'm like, I don't think I'll ever buy soap again if it's not approved.
Can I get a little
national brand.
reference on that? Who is
Yeah,
Leonarda?
Megan, give us like the 60 seconds on Leonarda.
Yeah, Leonarda was a completely loving Italian woman until she realized her son was going to World War II, and then she decided to kill 3 women to make a human sacrifice for her son and save his life.
Did it work?
And she used the remains in tea cakes and soap to save him and break the spell of her son's curse. So he did survive.
Sounds
It
like
did work.
Yeah. I mean, draw your own conclusions.
Yeah, there's a lot of math that goes into that, but
Yeah.
I mean, if you survived, it's
1 for 3 is not a great deal.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
know, that's what I said. I don't understand why
Although
he got 3.
Some spare ladies though.
Yeah.
For
They-
my son,
They were older
Single.
Yeah, older single ladies with large retirement funds, which she just like totally wiped out.
that's
and
what
then,
it was about.
and
then
then
Come
turned
on.
them into soap,
Yeah.
Ooh.
Or
but did
Turn
not
the
but
fat.
did
Tea
not
cakes.
swap
crunchy
the
tea
bodies. What?
And
You thought she was
the thing, like,
swapping the body?
The turn to, can you imagine butchering a body? Like that's another level of sick.
Talk to us
Like
about it.
you're just a normal woman living your life, loving your children, and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna limb by limb this. Oh, how short do I need to make this chop so it'll fit in the pot?
See, she gets so specific. She's the one who's going
I'm thinking,
nuts.
I'm looking at my arm, it's like, how many pieces?
See? She's like feeling the joints right now to think it through.
But it's gross, so don't do it. But also it's mean and bad.
I have thought that same thing. What would it, what would dismembering something look like? Like I've never been deer hunting. That's kind of the closest that I think I would get
sure.
at the moment
yeah.
would be, getting a kill and you got to clean it and all that.
Right,
That
right.
kind of freaks me out.
I
being
The
honest.
best part of that case is she had to prove she could do it herself, because she was a middle-aged woman. How could you possibly? And she said, give me something sharp. And then they just let her loose in the morgue and she
I
She
can't
proved
believe
she could do it.
I can't believe they let her
She-
do that.
she
I mean,
proved
sorry to
her
those
guilt.
bodies.
Yeah. I will say since that particular episode, like we've got some really nice soaps that like smell really good, but they also have like little flakes of stuff in them
Oh
that
no!
are supposed to like help with the scrubbing, and like I'll
It's
reach
chunks of cartilage,
yeah, so I'll reach for it, I'm like yep.
right?
Can't
That
do it.
episode ruined me for
Yeah.
a little
she
bit.
was mad.
I really discovered my anti-cannibalism on that episode.
Yeah.
Well, have
I
you
thought
seen,
you knew that going in.
Have you
so.
seen Fight
I mean,
Club?
you think that, but then you really know it.
You needed that to really know you weren't a cannibal.
I mean, who could really know until you're in
All right,
that
that's it.
situation?
No, I'm not eating someone else.
Yeah.
I'm not killing and
I'm-
consuming another human.
But like we all think that, but then like it's like that's so gross.
This soap broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
doing it.
If I couldn't wash myself with a dead person, how could I ever eat one? Is that
Yeah.
that's
baby steps.
Okay, great.
So
What about
Draw the
Fight
line
Club?
there.
Because Fight Club is the same thing.
Huh?
Withdrawn.
Okay, so Megan, how do you pick your stories? Because you've got an incredible breadth of women that you've selected all throughout history.
Yeah.
Some that have been featured in prominent assassin pirate video games.
Yeah.
How do you pick the stories that you go with for the podcast?
Is this Black Flag?
Yeah. Yes.
That's an awesome game. Go ahead.
I honestly just think what will Alana like or what will make Alana get mad at me. And then I go from there
Okay.
for pretty much every episode.
Nice.
Yeah.
that's nice.
It's really I don't want her to get her too mad. I want her to get mad enough. And that's the formula.
So are you just like looking, do you have like a list of female serial killers and killers, and you're just like, oh, you know what? I think we're going to try this one this week.
Yeah, I have. That honestly takes the longest amount of time, is finding people to research, because then you find somebody that seems good, and then there's a detail in there I know she'll be upset about, so I have to throw that woman out and go to the next one. So I have like this very long list of women that I go through, and they're not always killers, right? Like I'll mix it up and have a survivor or missing persons or something, just to keep her engaged. So yeah, I have a very long list that I'm constantly adding things to. I'm constantly asking anybody who likes true crime for suggestions, and watching and listening to a bunch of other true crime stuff, so that I can grab people I know Alana will approve of.
Have you ever considered Mary Mallon, also known as Typhoid Mary, which is not a direct killer?
Sort of.
Are you familiar with her story?
She sounds familiar.
Typhoid Mary? The gist of it, this 60-second, and probably a lot shorter than that version, is she was a carrier for the typhoid virus in colonial America, and she was a cook who wouldn't wash her hands, so she kept killing everybody and spreading it. And they eventually figured out that she's a non-symptomatic, what's it called? Yeah, she's displaying no symptoms, carrier of typhoid.
Right.
And she would
That would be a
refuse to
good
wash
one.
her hands. Yeah. But she
But
wasn't
now I know the
intentionally-
story.
But now you wrote it, now she knows.
Yeah.
We'll have to erase her memory for this one.
You're fun.
All right.
I think we can erase Alana's memory. We'll just
Hold on,
another couple of
I'm
sips
working
of
on
that
it.
coffee, and it'll go.
Right.
All of the aqua tofana we put in it will take effect towards the end of the episode. Okay, so do you have like a running list of things that, like, all right, so y'all have been doing this now for what, 6 or 8 months, somewhere in that neighborhood, or
It's
or longer
March,
than that?
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Well,
you've
congratulations.
been.
That's-
That's a good run. Yeah.
Thanks.
Also, it seems like based off of the quality, you guys have been doing it a lot longer. So congrats on that. That's
Yeah.
good stuff.
Oh, shucks. It's all,
Yeah.
all
Also,
Megan's set up.
big shout out to Brad for editing the episodes and coming up with
Brad.
with the theme music.
Right.
So as we've listened, we've noticed that like Alana has become a little desensitized to some
Yes.
things.
Oh,
So
because
I'm
you're listening to a
wondering-
bunch recent, like at
yeah.
a time, so
Yep.
you're really experiencing the journey quick.
So are you like, do you have some characters that you've got kind of marked as like, no, we can't do this now, but maybe in like 3 months I can revisit this person because we'll already have done enough drawing and quarterings to where like she's going to be desensitized to this.
Yeah, definitely. That's when Jolly Jane made the first appearance. It's one of our
Okay.
most popular episodes, and I was like, I'm not going to start with Jolly Jane. But then I felt after those, I think she was episode 12 or something. After
Yeah.
those first few, I felt that she was getting more comfortable with the
Just
stories.
buttering me up.
Yeah, and so now I need to still like stretch it out. Like I don't know if you noticed, but like I'll do a serial killer, and then there'll be one I know she likes. Like it's like a gift to her. Like here, are
Like
the
a more
cards.
adventurous historian type, like a history one. That's
there'll
one
be
of my
like
favorites.
the blood
And,
countess
you know,
will come in there
Like
or
put it
something
on
like
a
that.
beach. Put a murder on the beach with some
Yeah.
with some nice weather.
She can get totally behind murder if the person who's murdered is mean. She's 100% in, and she has no problems. So
No.
Yeah.
that made it easier. I didn't realize that going in. I was like, oh, the person just has to be a jerk, and it can they can do
Justice.
anything.
I don't know that that's justice.
Revenge.
That's my
Yeah,
argument. with
revenge.
her.
Yes, revenge is in there for
It feels
sure.
good.
Yeah, it is. One of the things I think is so fun about the dynamic is that Megan will go in and tell a story, and that Alana's reaction to it is, no, kill him now.
Every
She's like, no,
Not
wait.
every time.
already
It
happened.
depends what he
It's
did.
historical.
He's not like, you understand that this is a murder. Yeah, but he didn't. He like came home late all the time. He's got to have been doing something. Like maybe he was at work. Maybe he just
No.
maybe he just worked late at the factory.
No, he was
Nope.
running around.
Nope. Yep. He was
doing
Well,
stuff.
sometimes she says kill him, and I'm like, no, that's not even who dies. Just hold on. Like we're not even there yet. This is just the neighbor coming over. Like she doesn't even. She's just all in real quick.
which I can appreciate, and she does seem to have a very, I don't know, unsettling knowledge of the soft spots on the body. which also seems to be a theme. And I have to say, like, as often as I think Alana counts as sort of like so many people in the audience that are just appalled at the things that are going on, as the researcher on a podcast, I do
research too. Quit owning everything. You're like, oh, I do everything. You don't do anything.
Who's
That's
this
not
guy?
true.
Yeah, but it's a fun dynamic.
I'm not arguing the majority, but it's also, as the only person that does anything, is also untrue.
Yeah, that is untrue.
Go ahead.
That is untrue. My wife has helped us out with a bunch of stuff. So,
Whatever.
I do feel like I'm often in Megan's seat whenever like
I agree.
there's the quick reaction like, oh, kill him. You're like, nope, that's not, we're not there yet.
You
Don't
should have read
sway
1
the audience. Yeah, don't sway the audience to the kill him thing.
Yeah.
Let's get back to center here. But one of the things on top of all the entertainment that's in the podcast is you guys do kind of bring to light. You talked about is it the Freeway Phantom? Who's somebody that still is at large, but one of the favorite episodes that I have is about Savannah Greywind, and I think this was actually an episode that Alana picked, and Megan, you did a great job telling the story. Talk to us a little bit about like why that story in particular got your attention.
That I'll let you go. That's the one story you knew about going in. You picked it.
Yeah. So I actually work with a tribe, and so I had heard about Savannah through them. So people I know went on that search party to look for her, and it's just some of these minority populations, and especially Indigenous women, where they just don't get a voice. It's just like, oh, another Indigenous woman gone. That's the norm. Like maybe they don't matter as much as other people. Is the feeling you can get, and right, obviously history has proved some of that. The thought of that. And so I thought it was important to bring it up and say, this is still happening. This is still a big problem. And like beautiful people like this and with their lives ahead of them have this disgusting, sick thing happen because the dynamics of power and what people care about. So just wanted to put it on a little bit of a platform.
When I researched it and saw the statistics and just how likely Indigenous women were to be victims of violent crimes, it was mind-blowing. I didn't realize it was so high. And in that case in particular, I think, if you know the story, I think the police went to the apartment 3 times.
Yeah.
And Savannah was inside and they didn't find her. And her parents were just downstairs, and it's just so heartbreaking.
And she was still alive when the police
she was there? She was not. It would not have saved her life, but she was also pregnant, so the baby was hidden as well, right? And they didn't know where anybody was. So it's just a heartbreaking case, and it's one that they use to bring light to it when they do marches and activists events. So yeah, that was the one case Alana did actually have a say in.
And he's still at large.
No, they were.
They're arrested. The Freeway Phantom is still at large.
He should
Freeway
die.
Phantom's still at large.
Well, this
we
one
should kill him.
Yeah, the Savannah Greywind thing was a couple. It was a couple that wanted a kid, and so they found a lady who was pregnant and getting ready to have one, and they lured her into the apartment and took the baby and killed her in the process. Like it's absolutely brutal. But that again, that was she is not, and I don't mean this insensitively, but Savannah Greywind is not a statistical anomaly within that population. That not only is the disappearance something that happens often, but this particular crime is one that is perpetrated enough to where it has a statistical impact in the homicide rate of Indigenous people in the United States.
Targeting a pregnant woman for the infant?
For the baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I mean, think about history of the boarding schools and stuff. There's a trail here, and it leads all the way to these kind of acts where, like the boarding schools where they used to take them from their families and send them to, be un-Indianized, right? Take away their culture and stuff like that. So, history is not a broken line, right? It it follows and leads places, and this is one of the unfortunate things. So like if we have a voice to speak about it and raise awareness and give it a platform, though, we were happy to do that.
Yeah, and so I think it's really interesting that y'all have done that in a couple of cases. Obviously, you did it with this one with the Freeway Phantom as well. One of the ones I think is also really interesting is the story of Georgia Tan. Because the story of Georgia Tan was less about like a really intense murder mystery as much as it was like, this is what happens when you're allowed to kind of rule the system. So if you would like give us like a high level of the story of Georgia Tan and why that story got picked among all of these, other like... I hate to call them fun, but they are like really interesting.
Some of them are serious.
Yeah, they're these sort of really interesting, like just moments in history where you're like, okay, this could only be allowed to happen in the 1800s under these circumstances when somebody's paying off the king, like he'll turn a blind eye to someone torturing people because this lady's totally demented. This happened like relatively recently, and with somebody who was influential on like the Roosevelts.
Yeah, she's got a terrible picture on Wikipedia too.
Yeah, she's not a happy lady.
No, yeah. So Georgia Tan's actually our most popular episode, and I first heard about it by reading the book by Lisa Wingate, who's one of my. I love her as an author, and she wrote a book about it. I'm blanking on the name. Before We Were Yours, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's an amazing book. You should read it if
it's really good.
Yeah, if you're interested.
You can't put it down.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's based on these. It's not actual true stories, but it's based on these true stories. And what it was about the children's home in Tennessee. And I asked my husband, who's from Tennessee, I said, have you ever heard of this? This is unbelievable. What they were doing is stealing children and babies from mostly poor families and then just adopting them out to rich families, essentially. And they were stealing these children in unbelievably sad ways. I mean, often the women would be told that they were signing over temporary custody, or they were just signing papers to get them medical care or whatever, and they would sign their names, and a lot of them couldn't read, and they'd be signing their babies and their children over to Georgia Tan. And
right, legally they couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, she wasn't even killing them; she was just legally stealing them. Exploiting the family.
Essentially.
Yeah, and some parents would fight hard, and the judges were paid more than likely in Georgia Tan's network, and they would just rule that the children were better off with who Georgia Tan had placed them with.
Wasn't her dad a judge, or am I mixing my stories?
No, that's correct.
Yeah, he was. Okay. She grew up. She grew up seeing that happening, and she actually got fired from her first job in her home state because of how she was stealing children. And so Tennessee didn't realize it, and she had a lot of people under her influence. And it's just so amazing, but so sad to hear the stories of all of these people who have been misplaced their whole lives and didn't know they were adopted, or some knew they were adopted and didn't know the story. And a lot of these records were sealed. They recently fought really, really hard in the 90s and the early 2000s to get these records to be open so that people could possibly find their families. And some people don't care to, right? And it's such a personal choice. Like some people don't want to. Some people just want to know the information and never make contact. Some people really crave knowing where they came from and knowing their siblings, possibly their parents. And yeah, it's just an unbelievable story. And there are people still alive who are affected by it today. And a lot
like you said, it's not that long ago that this happened.
Right. Yeah, and one of the
Georgia Tan died in the 50s.
Right, and so there's so many of these, especially now is like Ancestry.com.
Right, Alana.
Yeah. Talk about evil woman, man.
So, but there are so many people now that are looking at things like 23andMe and Ancestry.com, and they're going back on their family trees, and they're running up into this dead end of everything stopped at the Tennessee Children's Home, and now that some of these records are being unsealed, they're finding out like their heritages are not anywhere near what they thought they were. Like we grew up in the South and we're a Southern family, and they're like, actually, no, your parents were immigrants that were poor, and Georgia Tan didn't feel like they deserved a baby, so they took her away from you.
Right.
Like that's it's so crazy what she was allowed to do. And this was, y'all's podcast was the first time I heard of the story of Georgia Tan. And now I've like come down and taken a deep dive down this rabbit hole, which is one that's just like utterly fascinating that this not only was allowed to happen, but that it was propped up by sort of the quote unquote the powers that be at the time. And then like the craziest thing to me is
institutional corruption.
Yeah, like the crazy thing to me is like that she was one of these people that like the president's wife, Eleanor Roosevelt, was like, no, this lady's awesome. The work that Georgia Tan doing is so great. She's a model.
Lady
and,
Bird?
like,
Right.
This is Lady Bird would have been Johnson. That would have been yeah.
She had some
Claudia
kind of
Johnson. Maybe the Iron Lady.
Let's move on.
No, that was Margaret Thatcher. So
That was Margaret. Good old Margie.
Good old Marge. So there's all of these things that you look at that story, and had it not been for a few people that were really diligent and intentional about doing the research and about figuring out where they came from, she would have kind of been lauded in history as a hero.
Yeah,
so
you're absolutely right.
That's so wild to me. So how do you, when you create these stories like in a way that you tell them, and I think that y'all do a wonderful job of it, how do you set it up to where, because I know when I listen to them, I don't want to go Google it once you start telling the story. There's a lot of people that as soon as they start telling their version of a true crime story, I'm like, I'm just going to go
jump ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to go look at the last page of this book and figure out how this ends. But is there like a storytelling method that you use to try to grab people and hook them in right after the tea review as they're wondering whether or not these are thrusting or parallel thumbs up, how they should, what can I do to hook these people in at this point going forward?
Again, I really just think I don't even worry about who's listening. I just think how can I trick Alana
It's all about me.
Okay.
and get her to ask questions and be involved and be committed to the story, because I figure in my mind, I think, well, I've heard this story because I'm a true crime, fan. So probably most people have already heard these stories. And I think, well, I know she hasn't. So I just tell it like I'm telling it for the first time, because
but she does such a good job. Like you get hooked.
Yeah.
Like you said, you don't want to like read to the last page, which is a big crime. Because she's like feeding you information morsel by morsel. She's building that into real people. I think that's what it is. Like this is not just like a cutout of like this big scary person. This person came from somewhere, and that's what I think is so interesting. And it's the human element, whether they're evil or they end up evil or not. It's how did this person get to that point, like they were talking about. And I think with Georgia, with Georgia, it kind of connects back to, I was just thinking about this, Amy and Katie, where it's like, oh, these females couldn't do something horrible like that. They're these delicate females. And I think Georgia got away with some stuff too, because she was this, well-regarded Southern woman.
With handsome features.
Just a lady with handsome features nibbling on mushrooms in a field. Like, why? She couldn't harm anybody.
Yeah.
That's me.
She doesn't even know if the ice cream's good.
Yeah, just look at her. Just look at her. She's not hurting anybody.
Yeah, meanwhile, she's like, give me an axe and throw me in the morgue. I'll show you I can take somebody apart and put them in the cell.
Exactly.
She's circling your neck.
Yeah.
Slowly.
But yeah, you do a phenomenal job of telling the story and not beating your co-host up the whole time while you're doing it.
Shots fired. That's all right. Everybody's got their dynamic that brings them listeners.
Right.
We can cut that.
No, we don't need to.
Okay.
So when you've picked the story, you've kind of got the method in which you're telling it. What do you see as like the line of like, you know what, this is where it's too much for me to go into telling the story, or this is where it's too much, and this is where I really struggle whenever we tell stories, is because when you do the research and you go into somebody's backstory, you can go so far that you make the perpetrator, the villain, really, really, really sympathetic. in such a way that like they become the good guy. And I think that's part of the reason.
I can understand why she might have done that.
Yeah, like I think
Some
that's part of the
atrocity.
reason that Alana so often is like, no, yeah, she should do this because you've made the character like you've made them such a sympathetic figure that whenever they go,
why come you do that, Megan?
yeah, their life was so terrible. Of course, they killed the first person that came across them that was elderly because they were owned as a child. They were an indentured servant, Jolly Jane. But like, where is there a line for you where like, you know what, this is pushing stuff too far, or this may make this character too sympathetic, or is it just too much fun to go that route to get reactions out of your co-host?
Well, I mean, I don't need much to get reactions from her. So I think that if it's true, then I tell it because I think it's interesting because there are a lot of people who were in the same terrible situation during that time as Jolly Jane, who you talked about.
Right.
Like all of her sisters. None
But
of her
didn't kill a
sisters.
lot of people.
They didn't have great lives, but
Right.
they didn't murder, 30 plus people either. So
And
somebody
that's why
can be as
history will never
sympathetic as
remember them.
possible. but it doesn't mean that it's okay to go that route and become a serial killer. Alana just roots what she's going to root for, and there's no change in that.
Yeah, stick to my guns.
Or knives or
Or
poisons
knives,
or
poison, whatever.
Yeah, it's not often that you
Aquafina.
advocate for guns. You advocate a lot for punching people in the face.
Yeah, well,
Hey, that's a
And
nice step
knives.
down. That's de-escalation.
I do think a lot of problems in the world would be solved if they would allow that to happen.
Yeah.
Like
do that.
Yeah.
A face punch is not arrestable.
Like I really want to set up a small business that pays like second graders to just go and punch other kids in the face because that's really what they need. Like you will learn really quick. Like
And you talk about me.
Yeah, your keyboard courage and your running of your mouth will stop the
Yeah.
very first time you get hit in the face.
what kind
Trust me,
Exactly.
that is exactly what I learned growing up. I thought I was really funny until the first time I got hit in the face. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't talk about his mom as much.
I just don't think you're going to get as much of the message across with a face punch from a second grader.
Well-
it might have to be a crotch kick.
Well, here's the thing.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't pay an adult to go and to punch other second graders
I don't
because
think
I
you
think
can
that's
pay
when
children to fight either.
No, I think that's a whole nother episode. Then it was something that happened in North Carolina.
It's like bum fights, but it's kid fights.
Don't know.
Right,
do you remember
right.
this story?
What?
That-
Say it again?
There was a lady in North Carolina. I forget her name. She ran a.
Not me.
No, it's not
Megan.
Megan. Yeah, but she ran a like an at-home daycare where she was making the toddlers fight, and there was like
What?
there were people that were betting on it.
It was like dog fighting.
Oh yeah, it was like dog fighting, but
God.
it was toddlers. There's your next
Wow.
story, Megan.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that one.
Okay, so that's the line then.
There you go.
I
That's
said
the line.
everything I said
gotta
to try to
answer.
figure out where the line. So the line is like Michael Vick. Okay, toddler fights. No.
I can't
Okay.
do. No, Alana wouldn't allow Michael Vick.
Yo,
either.
yeah.
No.
No
I
animal
can't.
violence.
Animal abuse that's
No.
one of my reasons for,
Face punching.
committing violence.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Cover
before
your
we
soft spots.
before we get into our controlled rowdiness segment, I do have a couple of questions, some updates that I want.
Me too.
The first, Alana, how's Rupert?
Rupert, he's great. He's really become part of the family. My husband doesn't love him, but I think he
It's her
secretly
vacuum.
does. Oh, yeah. So Rupert's my robot vacuum, and he does a great job for the family, and he works really hard. He goes under the couch,
Oh, yeah.
and sometimes he really wants to go in some rooms that he's not supposed to, but we just have to redirect him.
That's fascinating. You have a robot that cleans your floors named Rupert. I have one
Yep.
named Rosie.
Maybe they're destined.
Yeah,
Love match.
We've got Rosie from the Jetsons.
Will they make little baby robots that can come clean my house?
I don't know.
Oh
maybe-
my God,
Mine.
imagine how cute they'd be.
I want one from the litter.
What's Rupert's stud fee?
Oh man, that would be something.
One cleaning.
Little Rupert and Rosie's.
Yeah.
Rupert's stud fee is Irish breakfast tea for
Yes.
Ooh.
yeah.
Bringing it back full circle. I like that.
Thank you. Alana, I'm curious, where is your 5-year-old? Where's he keeping his donkey these days? Like, is it still...
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
That's her.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I said Alana. I meant Megan. Megan, where is your 5-year-old keeping his donkey these days?
Where do you get
Apparently.
your donkeys?
The donkey is in our yard. And possibly you could be a donkey as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because
That's
this
what he
donkey's
makes it.
imaginary?
No, because he
No.
got fascinated with the word ass.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Meaning
he asked-
donkey.
Yeah, no.
Do we have to
this
bleep
guy,
that?
I heard
No,
this
no,
one.
because I used it in the form of
Yeah.
donkey. Yeah, we might
Yeah,
be, but I
yep.
don't know. Probably.
Yeah, he asked what it meant, and I had to explain. And then the next day, he used it correctly for donkey, and I was very confused.
He just did such a great job of using that word over and
He
over.
did. Yeah, he's become
Excellent usage.
He's become a donkey expert over the past.
Right. It's like, oh, there's 3 different meanings for it.
There's
Wow.
3 asses
Yeah,
out there.
he's pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah. Also, they're called donkeys.
Yeah,
but
it's,
yes, correct.
Are you familiar with the comedian Ismo, the Finnish comic?
Yeah, you show me.
Yeah, he talks a lot about
Little
words.
husky guy.
Yeah, he talks a lot about how words in English just don't make any sense. And that one in particular, and I'll have to send you all the bit, he talks about how difficult it was because, like, you can be a piece of donkey. And that means that you're pretty. But if you half donkey something, then that means that you're lazy. But if it's your donkey, then that means that you're a liar. Like if somebody's like, "Hey, I did this," and you say, "Nope, my donkey, you did," and it's like, "Oh, well, you're a liar." And he's got a full 5 minutes on all the different uses of the word. So
Good point.
yeah, he's
I'll play that for him, see how it goes. Over the kindergarten class.
Yeah. Check with your son.
Yeah, he's amazing
Perfect.
at retaining information and imitating it, so it should go well.
Well,
yeah.
I've got
every,
one.
every piece.
yeah.
Well, I've got one last question
Go-
before we
go
get
for
to
it, Dan.
controlled rowdiness, because this is not really a controlled rowdiness question.
Yeah,
I am
go for it.
curious because both of us have experienced this as podcast hosts. Do you have people that come up, or family members or friends, fans, whatever, randomly bring up things you said previously that you have no memory of?
On the podcast.
Yes. On the
No,
podcast.
in the shower, weirdo.
Oh, maybe 3 years ago at Aunt Betty's.
You don't have an Aunt Betty. Nice try. No, that's never happened to me. My guess is it might have happened to Alana.
Yeah, I'll forget things really quick. It really depends what's gonna file in this. I don't know. Repository.
I don't think our friends or family listen. That might be the problem.
Well, a lot of your family does.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Our family does not listen.
Although I'm finding more and more that they do.
Your mom does.
My dad,
Yeah.
William's dad, Alan,
Yep.
they'll randomly bring up things and they'll ask, they'll start just midstream. They'll just go, "Hey, what about this? And why you thought that?" And I go, "What are you talking about?"
Right, because
Yeah.
it's colliding your worlds, and it's like you need to level set, context set. What are we talking about?
And also, I have a tenuous grasp at all times, so I definitely don't know what I said an hour ago, much less
Right.
3-4 months.
Well, also, poor Alana. I edit the episodes and stuff, so I listen to them a ton. She does the hour, and then she doesn't often even re-listen because it's too upsetting for her. So
It depends on the episode. I'll try
Yeah.
to listen at least to the beginning and the end, and then usually the whole thing, unless it's an upsetting one, and then I'll skip.
I'm going to take a page out of your book and say that from now on. I can't listen to the episode; it's too upsetting.
too upsetting.
There you go. There you go.
All that happened in the episode with Lucas just gave me a bunch of crap for not doing research. He's trying to be a
It's too
podcast
upsetting.
martyr. It's too upsetting for me.
Alana's a bad influence on you.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right.
I think this brings
Are
us to
we
control.
ready?
rowdiness.
Well, ladies, we end all of our interviews with a segment we call Controlled Rowdiness. Now, these are rapid-fire questions, which you may answer with as short or as lengthy an answer as you would like. There are no right answers, but there are several wrong ones, so make sure that you don't step on any of those landmines. Expect nothing from us by way of reply or response as we get going, and I'm going to shoot it over to Big Dan to get us started.
All right, let's go. I guess this is a question for both. We'll start with Megan. If you had to endure a type of historical violence in the lines of drawing and quartering, the Iron Maiden, etc., what would you choose?
Does being frozen to death count?
Sure.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's my choice.
Why? I'm curious.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like I'll just quietly go back to the land. No, I won't have to be like cut in half.
You get numbed.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
You just be really cold and your mind will be really active, right? Isn't that part of it, that the shock of cold wakes your mind up until you go to sleep?
Well, have you ever seen anybody that's like struggling with hypothermia? Like
No.
those guys that do the polar bear plunge and get stuck in the ice?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, throw me off a building.
Yes, you're saying no way for freezing. for you.
I'm not doing the freezing. Alana.
So Alana, same
Alana,
question.
same question.
Okay, but what level of history? Like a firing squad?
The third level.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll take a firing squad. It's gotta be pretty quick.
I
Like
don't-
aim at my
I think further back.
edge.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
then
let's go further back.
The guillotine.
Ooh.
That's a
I was
quick.
for that until I read that your brain stays awake for a few seconds.
Yeah, that is really
What does
weird.
that even mean?
You know how like
I don't want to find out.
so Alana, you've got chickens. You know how like if you don't
Yeah.
wring their neck right, that they just keep running around. That's what it means.
We don't. We just have their eggs, so I don't know that.
She takes care of the chickens. She doesn't put
But
them
I
in
can guess.
in a chokehold.
Why don't you nibble and see if you die from it?
I don't know if they'd like that.
All right. This next question is for both of you ladies. If you were to model yourself after one serial killer that you've done an episode on, who would it be?
That's a great question.
Aquatafana.
So this question is,
Oh,
if you were to take a
yeah.
page out of someone's book, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go with you, Aquatafana.
Copycat.
And this
Or
is
Julia
this is
Tafana.
and this is poison, correct? Can you give me
Not
a 10
only
second?
poison, but she's doing a service.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I would rather not poison. Like, well, I mean, I'm not saying I'd rather do,
She's
but
doing a
I don't
service?
see myself as a poisoner.
Yeah.
But I like
so was the
reason she did
Godfather.
it.
She's helping some ladies out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is the lady that she would take care of other women's problems, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
They're men.
Yes.
It's supposed to
typically.
be abusive husbands,
Right.
but Alana's all in. I think there's got to be a couple innocent guys thrown into that
Yeah.
600 body
Hey, yeah,
count. but
yeah, and-
she
and-
disagrees with me.
Yeah, and what the heck is up with that one lady that ends up ratting out the whole operation?
Right?
I know, right? Weakling.
Ugh, ruin a good thing.
Crazy. Unbelievable.
All right, Dan, you're up.
Unbelievable.
Okay, Alana, you famously do not care for true crime. Tomorrow you get funding for a new podcast. What's the topic?
Oh, God.
You can have someone edit. You can have someone do all of the work. What's the topic?
My God. Oh, these are rapid fire. So my mind first went to like nerddom, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. Could really fall into a hole there.
All right.
Yeah. We like that too.
We might
But
have
also,
to have
I want to
you-
include tea.
We might have to have you on our spoils show whenever we do those, our reviews and ratings of all that stuff. We're
I
gonna
have
bring you back on.
listened to this, and yeah.
Tea and Middle Earth.
Yes. Oh, I just ordered spoiler for our future listeners on our
Yes.
podcast. I just ordered, there's a tea shop
Your
called
mom will be
Riddles.
okay.
Riddles Tea Shop that is doing a fellowship tea bundle, like a little tea box, and they're sending it out. So I bought it.
It would
Don't
need,
even know any of the words you just said.
we would
but
need
I
some
look forward
pipe
hearing
weed
about
to
it
go
on
with
our
that, with mouth
No
feel and notes.
Yes.
All of those words.
Megan, what is the worst tea rating?
Just a thumbs down, I think. No, gosh.
No, let me rephrase. What is your least favorite tea rating?
Juicy.
Oh, we all know. No, it's thrusting. I hate what you said.
You
thrusting.
agreed with it.
I said it was a good tea, but in no world should you be thrusting your thumb up like that. And they don't get the visual that I have to look at either, so it's double worse.
Go ahead. Give us what's the visual for thrusting thumbs up?
It is very aggressive.
That is.
It's
a
very
aggressive.
aggressive.
Everything I do is, I don't have a gentle side. I don't know if you're finding that out.
She's
Take a-
always
take
the
a little-
aggressive one.
Give it a little aggressive sniff.
Yeah.
Well,
You gotta
then-
put your biceps into like really like at the end.
Yeah. I'm glad I broke the show with that. That was good.
yeah, thank you. This is Herschel Walker's tea ratings.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's good. Go.
Okay. Well, that was my question. You got another one?
No.
Okay, sweet. So,
thinking of one.
what would the worst, or what is the worst outcome for a Saturday afternoon for you ladies. I'm gonna start with Alana, and then I'm gonna shift to Megan because I have an idea of what a bad Saturday might look like for Megan, but I don't know.
I can already
Is this
think
the
about
worst possible? Or this is just
Oh,
go ahead.
I mean, worst as in like a first world worst.
No, just
That's what I was
yeah,
asking.
first world worst. Like you nibble a bad mushroom. Like what's a bad Saturday look
Okay.
like for you?
Okay. Yeah. So you wake up and you guys will know this. It's 100 degrees, 100% humidity.
Yes.
You just melt. You run into a million dogs on your dog walk, and your crazy dogs don't deal with it well. Then you come back, realize you haven't plugged the kettle in, so the water's not warm yet, so you can't have your tea. And then you
So
have
specific.
a cold brewed tea, and it tastes disgusting, like a raspberry black tea. Bad.
Thrusting thumbs
then-
down.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would say, like, if you spend the rest of your day getting mildly painful occurrences, like stubbing your toe or getting bitten by horseflies, and then it just event after event. That would be my bad day.
stubbing her toe is one of her torture techniques that she throws out, by the way.
Yes, yeah, it is. That she
That
she
would be
hopes
the
that
third
these
one,
murderers
drawing, quartering.
stub their toe every day for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the ones that get off. So, all right,
So lame.
Megan, what's a bad Saturday look like for you?
I mean, I guess it starts with my 5-year-old telling me my donkey's in the yard, and
Okay.
then having to watch Tennessee Vols with my husband.
There it is.
It's a
Vols
good Saturday.
lose.
It's so brutal. God bless him.
Yep.
Okay, juicy, moist, or dripping, which is the worst rating?
Oh,
Yeah, get it all in there. Right for Megan.
I don't think she's done juicy or moist, but those two would be the worst.
She
I
has.
absolutely
she
did
has-
juicy recently.
She did juicy recently, and it got
you
a.
did, yeah.
Yep.
And juicy.
We would like to introduce the dripping thumbs down if that's an
I
option.
do like that. Maybe the coffee appropriately for me would be a dripping thumbs down.
Yeah, there you
as
go.
Coffee drips through the filter.
That makes
There it
sense.
is. Yep.
There we go.
All right.
Congratulations, the ladies at Edison. You got a dripping thumbs down from the Tea Time Crimes ladies for your coffee.
But it's not your fault.
yeah.
It's not.
Well, Alana, any final thoughts?
See, this is all the stuff I edit out, her thinking.
Mhm.
It takes up a lot of our podcast.
No,
You know
I think
what?
this
it's
is great.
part of the show.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, we're more stream of consciousness, less polished.
Yeah, Rings of Power. Is it going to end good?
I actually do. I'm enjoying it.
Me too.
Contrary to the angry masses who have just they just don't want to like it.
I don't
Anyways,
think, I don't
that's
think they're
going off
watching.
topic.
They're not watching the same show because I'm enjoying it a lot.
Right?
Yeah.
It's really well done. Okay.
too.
What I would say for if we're doing final thoughts, and it's the moral of the story is
Sure, yeah.
when strangers reach out to you, don't shut them down right away. See where the offer goes, and maybe you'll have a nice podcast time.
Wait, are they the strangers? Is
Yeah,
that what
I
it is?
think we're the
they're
strangers
the
in this
strangers.
scenario.
Oh my God, I didn't know where that was
Yeah.
going.
To be clear, this case ended up with a nice podcast episode, but there's a lot of murder that happens.
Yeah,
still.
so that's
Yeah.
what I was
No, but
saying. I'm like,
no. But you
sounds like
got.
the start of all
you
my
feel it
stories.
out, right? Like we listened
Thank
to
you.
your
Yeah, yeah.
episodes. We checked you out. We have Google
Do
that
your
type of thing.
research.
We're not
Let's
stalking
see if
you.
you die from the coffee that they sent you.
Yeah, they
Oh,
applied
that's a
for a
great
PO
point.
box whenever we're like, hey, we have some things we want to do for this episode. We want to send you some coffee. And Alana's like, oh, that's great. We don't have a PO box yet, but we're going to set one up so that these strange people can
send us some coffee
can potentially
beans.
send us some coffee that's laced
Alana-
with a
Hey,
bunch
when
of
you
fauna.
listen to so many true crime episodes that I've had too.
Yeah,
No,
She
I'm
literally
like,
goes,
I
they
don't
want
know.
to send me coffee. This is how I die.
yeah, it would be pretty poetic to be poisoned
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind it
With-
so much,
with
but
a
I would
liquid.
because I do want to live.
Yeah,
as well.
the
while
lovely,
you're doing a review. Too.
The lovely Mrs. Pinkard was like, I'm going to give this 60-40% chance that they're like, nah, no, we don't want anything that you have to send us. Also, we're going to cancel.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you
There's
guys
a little
came on.
panic moment there, but
Yep.
it worked itself out.
Worked out so far. I don't know how long that poison takes.
So,
Yeah,
go. Do you have another question?
Last question.
Okay,
Megan,
here we go. Last question.
Megan, famous favorite conspiracy.
Favorite conspiracy?
Yeah. We're just going off a tangent right now. We'll see if this goes anywhere.
I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Okay, Alana for the steal.
Oh, so that draws the line. The whole birds aren't real.
Yeah, yep. Birds aren't real.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're robots sent to spy on us from the government.
Right. Have you ever seen a baby
Rupert's
bird?
been busy.
Yeah. Wait. What was your question, Megan?
She's talking about Rupert the robot.
Oh, I said Rupert's been busy making
Yes.
birds.
Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
making little baby birds with Rupert and Rosie.
You heard it here, folks. Birds still aren't real.
Well, there you go. Ladies, tell our audience where it is that they can find your podcast and follow you guys.
You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram at.
Tea Time Crimes.
You can email us at.
teatimecrimes@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, she's
That's
got
one
it
of my
down so good.
podcast voices.
Yeah. And who should listen to us, Alana? Who should listen to this episode today?
Man. Strangers. Friendly strangers that you've checked out. Or just strangers, because they probably can't attack us. Well, they could. Friendly strangers, because, they could put things together.
All right, we'll keep it
Friendly
moving.
strangers. Donkeys. Coffee makers. Bitter women. Poisoners. And the Reverend and the Reprobate.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
say it right.
Hey, you got that right.
Well
Nailed
done.
it.
I was like,
Got it.
with
Well
Megan,
done.
I was like, you're going to have to do it. I can't do it.
Ah.
Whenever I get to that word, I panic.
Yeah.
So
It is
if bitter women
tough
can
word.
listen to the show, that means this will be the first episode my wife listens to. So that'll be great. That'll be fantastic.
I'm sure she's going to love that.
She will. That'll
See if
be
there's a little
when-
extra
when I
kick
tell
in
her
your
later
coffee
today.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Don't take big sips tomorrow.
Remember when you asked, why do women poison men so much?
This is why.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Because they call them
Yeah, hit
bitter.
rewind on that.
So they poison them.
I mean, it could be a light poison.
I would never know if it was in my coffee. I just wouldn't figure it out. Ladies, thank you all so much for coming
Add
on
a
the
little
show.
pinch of kosher salt
Yeah.
before poisoning your
there
husband.
you go.
Takes out all the aqua tofana flavor.
That's brilliant, actually. Yeah, good one.
There you go. Thanks, ladies, for being on. We appreciate it.
This has been a
you so much for
blast.
having
Thanks.
Tea time freaking crimes. How about it?
Very cool.
I do agree with Heather that they kind of have our energy a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah, like go ahead.
It's it's the I don't have anything to say.
No, I mean
They-
they're
they
awesome.
do.
They've got a great
Megan is put together,
huh?
and Alana is hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's a lot I'm leaving on the kid table there, but
And
I don't know, like,
I am choosing not to grasp at those.
I sense the
Those softballs.
similarities. I can't put them into words.
Yeah, they've got a really great like friendship dynamic. Obviously,
Yeah.
They are both one
They've
of the
got
things.
chemistry,
One of the things I really appreciate them is they both seem like they're such good friends that they're tired of each other, and that's one of the things I think is
But they keep it going anyways.
Yeah. It's like a marriage like around the 50th anniversary where you're like, nope, this is just I'm riding this out. This is the person that I've chosen to be friends with, and it's too late in my life to make new ones.
Yeah.
Because I'm past 35.
I'm making her be here.
Yeah, but I think that's
And she's happy as long as she has tea.
I was talking less about their friendship and more about ours.
Oh, yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they were great. Talking to them about how they created the episodes was fun. Getting the parallel. What is it? The parallel ratings on the teas and the coffees, I think was great. We do have a couple of other teas that we sent them that they'll be reviewing in later episodes, which I think will be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
I don't think she should give up on coffee just yet.
Right.
You know, the amount of effort that Alana has put into sampling different teas and rating them.
Right.
Try that with coffee too. Would be my suggestion.
Okay, so that coffee that she has is like one of the most expensive ones that they sell at Edison.
Okay.
That is like it is a super niche, like fruity floral coffee. It's got all of the tea notes in it. And that is the one where they're like, listen, if you're willing, and I had to like sweet talk the Edison people about like, hey, this is what we're doing. And I love that she hated it. And this is this is what we're doing. Like, I've got a gift card, but I'm doing it for this podcast. And they're like, all right, because that coffee is $40 a pound.
Dang.
And so they gave me a half pound of it, and like gave me a little bit of a discount. They helped us out.
That's cool.
And And they were like, all right, so
but it does. I mean, it's not.
I just love that
apples.
they were like, this is the
It's
only.
not apples.
This is not apples.
This
this
was
is the
coffee.
only coffee that a tea drinker could start off on and like. And she was like, no, it's bitter and I hate it.
Although,
Yeah.
and again, this is not a direct comparison, but
Sure.
with wine, you wouldn't go with a really expensive wine at first because
No,
you
it
need to
wouldn't be good.
develop your taste
Right.
and see if you like it first.
But different than wine, like cheap coffee tastes like the ground.
Yeah.
Whereas cheap wine tastes like grape juice. But I mean,
It can also taste terrible.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite the connoisseur that you are. The sommelier.
Look, I'm not a
Are you a
sommelier.
sommelier?
I'm not a coffee connoisseur. I do like good coffee, though.
Good coffee is great. And thanks, Alana, for being a good sport.
We should have asked more tea questions. Maybe next time.
Well, yeah, we need to have these ladies back on because they're continuing to cover stories. I would really love when we do a Rev and Rep Investigates to tag team with Meagan and Alana. I think that would be a ton of fun to kind of get them in on it because they're really hilarious.
This is where you and Megan do all the work, and Alana and I just watch butterflies.
Like y'all just like argue in the corner about which mushroom tastes better, and then we'll be like, all right, come on in.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Yeah, it's time. It's ready to record. No, they were phenomenal. Their podcast is a lot of fun. If you haven't had the opportunity to listen to it, they've been doing it for several months now, but they cover everything from, like we talked about, serious topics like what happened with
They were all pretty
the
serious.
native. Well, with,
They were
with
all
the native.
really
So like
serious.
that's the thing. It's and that's what was so hard for me about this is because it's not. Like you listen to them tell this terrible story in such a way that it becomes like fun and funny.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, this lady like killed 600 people when she was the countess because she, loaned the king a ton of money. And he was like, nah, we're not going to do that. Meanwhile, like she's tortured like hundreds of peasants and all that. And yeah, it's really awful, but they do it in they tell historical stories in a way that's entertaining and good and fun.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, it's a great podcast. Check them out.
Yeah, check it out. Tea Time Crimes. Thank you, ladies. Thanks, Megan and Alana. Make sure that you check them out on Instagram and on Facebook if they can figure out their page. And email them at Tea Time Crimes. Check them out on all the places where you get your podcasts. For the Reverend and the Reprobate, y'all have good, get give, and we'll see you next week.
Hi, everyone. This is Megan.
And this is Alana.
And we're from Tea Time Crimes. And the reason you should never listen to the Reverend and the Reprobate is because...
Ever.
Is because why, Alana? She's quick on her
They'll
feet.
send you bitter coffee.
They'll make you drink coffee and they'll find out ways that you can be pushed to be a murderer.
Yeah.